brought to you by Bethel School of Technology. Learn more at betheltech.net/Ken Coleman. We've talked about this in the past, but this is so well written. This is a Wall Street Journal article and editorial, and this is really enlightening. The headline is Americans don't care as much about work, and it isn't just Gen Z. Poor Gen Z. I parent 3 Gen Z, and they're getting picked on by the media, and it's all clickable and all that crap. Bottom line is, from a generational standpoint, there are studs and duds in every generation. Studs and duds. And studettes as well, if that matters to those of you. There are stars and there are duds in every generation, and we don't need to just kind of boil this down to Gen Z. But this is a fascinating look at where we are right now in the world of work. This is really important, because if you're kind of going, I'm leading people like this, or I'm feeling this, why am I feeling this? So this is an interesting take. And I'm not sure I agree with the headline, but it's really clickable. Headline is Americans don't care as much about work. I think that's really well written, and they were taught how to write headlines like that get you to click. And my team clicked on it, and that's why I'm sharing it right now. But if I had an alternate in what I believe to be a true headline, it would be Americans want more than just work. Let's unpack this. The unemployment rate right now is still really, really low compared to the pandemic. The pandemic, by the way, will be I believe, the most watershed moment in the history of work. If we look back, I think if we go 1,000 years from now, we still look back. I think the pandemic, COVID-19, and how it changed work will be the greatest watershed moment in the history of work. And so that is the central character. So as I give you this is where we are now compared to pre-pandemic. Here we go. Unemployment rate, just as low. The amount of people in the labor force, same levels. And wages are growing at roughly the same pace after inflation. Okay? So that's what hasn't changed. What has changed is that work is no longer at the center of American workers' focus like it was prior. In other words, we want more time with our families. We want more time for ourselves. In other words, we want flexibility. We want options. And that changed dramatically. Prior to the pandemic, folks, it was very normal for a lot of Americans, certainly those who were trying to be successful and those that were successful, to say, hey, look, I got to bust it. I got to work extra hours. Working overtime was not a penance. It was hey, this is how I beat the competition. By the way, let me just say this. It still is. Now, that's going to make a lot of people that may watch this video upset, and I can just hear the comments coming at me. I don't think I should have to work so hard. And all the griping. I just got to go work for the man. Why? Okay, look, you get to choose how much you work in relation to your lifestyle. You want to work a part-time job? Change your lifestyle to fit a part-time job. Okay, what I'm saying is hustle has been demonized. But hustle is still a way to win, right? We glorify this in athletics and we poo-poo it in the world of work. Here's what I mean. I think Lawrence Taylor, Nathan, made this quote famous, that somewhere somebody's working out harder than I am or practicing more than me. It was something along those lines. And we glorify that. By the way, it's a great statement, right? But it's the athlete, the champion. Yeah, of course. They're getting paid to tackle large people and block large people and tackle fast people and all this. So, yeah, that's great. But as a professional in the workplace, I don't think I should have to ever work extra hours. I don't think I should ever have to get better or learn something new. So, here's what's changed. Because of the pandemic, people have now looked at work very, very differently and how they want to work, where they want to work, why they want to work. and it's forcing employers to adapt. We know this, the tension between staying at home and working, coming into the office, the hybrid model. There's a lot of tension still there, okay? And it's all because, again, and I think this is a good thing, regardless of the tension and what anybody says, I think there needs to be a healthy tension between our work life and the rest of our life to say, you know what, at the end of the day, a little extra money here or there is not as important as a memory per se. So am I willing to adjust my lifestyle? And I think that is a healthy discussion. Now, if unemployment rises soon, let me tell you something. The leverage that we, the people, have in the workplace right now is going to evaporate. Because when you have to have a job, that you've got to be there and you don't have options, well, then you're going to take the conditions that you are offered. So here's what happened. Back to the pandemic. So it shifted just physically, just about everybody. Okay? Now they came up with this crazy term called essential workers where they had to go in, but for millions and millions and millions of others, it was like, you're going home. And so that was a physical shift and it happened instantly. Now, some people loved it. Some people didn't like it. They felt isolated. Some felt both. Maybe it was a little bit of a roller coaster ride. Either way, what came away from this was we started looking differently at our job. In 2017, 24% of people told Pew that their job or occupation was very important to their identity. In 2021, still essentially for many people, the lingering of the pandemic still there. Only 17% did. Now, prior to the pandemic, very successful people who may identify themselves as workaholics, they were working those longer hours. They were getting after it. And then remote work changed the game. Everybody was at home. They were at home. So now they didn't have this competitive advantage by being in and working longer. So you realize that coming out of this, hey, I kind of like this idea of less work, same amount of money. And that's what's changed everything. In December, 5.5% of jobs were vacant. And in January, 40% of small businesses had at least one unfilled opening. That's because we have more jobs than people, essentially, who are saying, I want to work. And people have options to work from home. So, do we Americans care less about work? No. I actually think we care more about a healthy life. And I think we have come to recognize that I can be productive, I can be effective, but I don't have to be chained to the workplace. And that's shifted. So companies that figure that out, hey, people will work. People do want to make more money, but they want a better life. Leaders, you figure that out, and you're going to have any problem, whether it's in office or out. Launch your tech career today at betheltech.net/Ken Coleman.